Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of the podcast here. We got two special guests who joined us before, Javier Enriquez and Jake Sinacori. We're going to bring you both sides of Long Island, out east in the Hamptons, and Brooklyn and Queens. So, looking forward to it.
So, you figure if it is their second or third home, they're going to spend. Some people only spend a month out of the whole year there, 1 month in the summer. For some people, spend the whole summer, but a lot of people too. The time that they're not in the property, they're going to try to rent it out, or some people might just solely purchase it as an investment. So, it varies on a case-by-case basis, but because it is a second or third home, most people tend to view it as, okay, I'm going to use it for some time, and then try to recoup on that, try to rent it out the other summer months, which are really premium, because the rest of the year, other 9 months, you can get a tenant for an off-season rental, but it's not going to bring in nearly as much as it would for a summer rental.
Yeah, I mean, Queens or Brooklyn, you leave your house vacant for like a couple months, you're going to come back, there's going to be a squatter in there. But at least that's it's crazy, because I've actually been in situations where I've walked in houses.
And what I've realized too, even with the deals that we've done here on Long Island, I feel like it's a lot more competitive than it would be out east or in Brooklyn or Queens. I feel like the demand is there, but not as much as it is on Long Island. Because most of the time when we're putting in an offer, you guys see it's multiple offer situations, and it's very tough to get that winning bid. What do you think it really takes to get a winning bid out in your area in Queens, or same with you? I mean, is there any contingencies or?
Yeah, so one of the things that actually is funny, because what we have in common on both our sides is the management tax.
Right.
I've never had a buyer come to one of my listings and tell me he doesn't want to offer the price that we all had, which is over 1.1, because of the transfer tax, the mansion tax. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, then you'll go somewhere else at that point. But I think from what you were saying, though, is the competitiveness is a lot less, I would say, than if you were, trying to get a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 property, because of the fact that there's not that many buyers that are able to, get a $1.3 million house. So there's not really much people that are interested in that. They want to kind of just want that single family, colonial style, ranch style home. So I wouldn't say that it's as difficult. It's more difficult as with the buyer, like kind of getting the buyer to accept the property. So it's not really a scenario where I'm having multiple offers on the property, like the one in Brooklyn. I've been working with that buyer for so long, and we've seen so many properties. A lot of them were a little below the price that we got this one for, but needed more work, didn't have parking, didn't even have bedrooms were small, stuff like that. So I think for my experience, it's really just kind of like the competitiveness comes with the buyer, like trying to find the right property.
Right. But it leaves door open for negotiation then.
It
right?
does,
Which
yeah.
you don't
it does.
normally see
Yeah.
on the median price house, right?
Yeah, the one
I'd say
in
it's
Brooklyn.
probably the same with you.
Right.
Yeah, the one in Brooklyn, it was listed at 1.39, and we offered 1.3, and we got it.
Like the deal I did with Anthony in Farmingdale, and just other agents who I know working in that kind of Western Suffolk, Nassau County area, listings listed for 500 or 600, and it's going to go for 650 or 700 over. So
Absolutely. That's why I feel it's a lot more difficult to get that done, but we were able to get it done, and just persistence and keep going. That's the biggest thing, because you can't try 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Sometimes you got to try 10, 15, 20 times or whatever it is. And I know
Follow-up is key. Like, follow-up is, people don't really understand the whole game of follow-up. I think, a lot of people think that I'm just going to call, leave a voicemail, and I'll call back in like 6 months. But you really need to be persistent. Like, you need to be hitting them up like every other day, honestly, even every day, just because if you know that motivation is there, you have to capitalize on it. Because if you're not capitalizing on it, someone's going to call them at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's their fifth follow-up, but they just got lucky. But you have to, hard work beats luck all the time. So my ideology is just keep following up, keep calling them, keep asking them how they're doing. Like, the guy that I posted on the story, he's still not answering me, even though he answered my text. I'm like, what's going on? So now I'm actually about to go knock on his door, bro. Hey, man, look, something's wrong with your service, man. Like, what, are we doing this or what? So,
Right.
you gotta be persistent with the follow-up and just having those quality conversations. I mean, the more you talk to somebody, the more you build that rapport, the more you talk to them about their weekend, they ask you about yours. It's just a lot easier to get the business that way and get the appointment and close them than just getting off that first initial call. I mean, it happens sometimes, but I believe following
Absolutely.
is, like, trumps everything.
When you're following up, you want to give them something of value when you're following up, right? So, because landlords or just owners in general, they always want to know what's going on in their area, things that are new to the market, things that have sold on the market or that were on the market. And I always find myself every day I'm looking in our database to see what's in contract, what's sold, what's new to the market. So if I know I have a homeowner who's thinking about selling, I'll see what's going on. If I see it's in their area, I'll just send it to them in a text and be like, hey, like, I don't know if you saw this, but this property just closed or this property is in contract. So at least it gives them something to think about. And it usually yields better results for me as opposed to, which I think is great, just kind of generally following up with them. But, you give them something kind of just tangible, real, applicable stuff in the market that they can call back on and makes them think about.
Absolutely. What do you think was the driving factor to close this new listing that you got?
Well, I think the listing, I mean, they always say location, location, location. It was like a 30-second walk, less than a quarter mile, not even a quarter mile, a tenth of a mile to the village. So that was really highly coveted. And I think in the Hamptons, people aren't afraid to do work, but whenever they purchase a property, I guess like anywhere else, but with my experience, they want to see the value in the property. They're not just going to just give you a number just because you're asking for a number. So I think factors like the location, being moments to town, like literally a stone's throw away from the town. The land was on like almost 0.4 of an acre, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, room to expand. It was just a ranch, but you can go up. The owner had plans already because they were thinking about doing a renovation. So just kind of painting this whole picture to them of, okay, the location, what you can do with the property, the rental aspect of it, because if someone's going to buy it, they might want to rent it out. So you want to paint that picture too of, okay, this is what's rented in the area, this is what you could potentially rent it for. And again, we were listed at $2,995 and we sold for $2.7. So the homeowner the seller was motivated to make a deal happen. And a lot of times it's just like getting the conversation going. Like whenever I show a property or bring a buyer to a property, I would say like an offer is an offer. That's how you get the conversation going, even if you think it's low or even if you don't think they're going to accept it. It's just putting your foot in the door and putting your hat in the ring to get a conversation and hopefully get a deal done. With my job is to bring a meeting of the minds together. So that's what I would say.
That's a good way to look at it. And I know a big part of your business is rentals too. How has that helped your business grow also, just dealing with rentals?
Yeah, the rentals have been tremendous. So when I got to the market in 2020, all the people from Manhattan and Brooklyn, they were afraid of the pandemic and just being in their apartments. So they wanted to get out east and just not have to worry about being surrounded by people. They just wanted to have space. And so I met so many clients through that. Like every night when I went to sleep and I would wake up, I would have like 5 to 10 rental inquiries every single day, which was, obviously I didn't close all those, but at least I was able to add those people to my database. My first sale was one of my former rental clients.
That's awesome.
The listing I closed in the spring, I met them kind of from the rental avenue. So it's just a great way to develop those relationships with clients, because in the Hamptons, the renters become eventual buyers and the landlords become eventual sellers. So like you were saying, you want to be that person who, when they're ready to make a move, whether it's a rental or a purchase, you want to be that person that's in their face so that they're ready. Yeah. When they're ready, you're the go-to person. So just
like on this new listing that you got, that the scenario with that? They were just on waiting, or what was the story with them?
Yeah. So she came to the listing as a buyer, but same deal. Just keeping in contact with her, following up with her, and she also needed some help with her property with like a CO situation that she needed to get updated. So just being there for her really throughout the process, because again, like adding value, she needed help with that. She needed recommendations. She needed just some guidance. So to provide that value to her, I think it definitely contributed to getting to this point of getting the listing.
Absolutely. And the same is with your clients too. If they look at it from an investment standpoint, what is their end goal? To help pay for the mortgage, get cash flow, get into the house, a little bit of both? I mean...
Yeah, so their main objective is really just supplementing the mortgage, helping them out with the mortgage payment. A lot of them just kind of about cash flow also. Like I have one guy where we just closed on a 2-family in Amityville, he's going to be fixing it up and we're going to put that on the market for rent. So, he's a big investor. So for his gameplay is just, I want to find a house, fix it, flip it, or rent it. But then you have a lot of the people I work with that are just, they're looking to find a place to call home. And for them, the important thing is having that help. I mean, it's tough nowadays. But, I feel like things are getting a little easier, especially with the rates. We had some good news, right, which we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, man, I think even with low rates, like, why wouldn't you want to, have a house and then be able to rent out your basement and only have to pay half of what you would have been paying? So I think it's just a smart idea, getting people into that mindset of like passive income, even if it's at a small scale, like, that's where it starts.
And it helps too.
It helps.
Even if it's $1,000 a year, $1,000 a year, that definitely helps every month and to take the pressure off, because not everyone's making $1 million a year,
Right,
so
right.
It definitely helps. And that's what I found is utilizing the basement apartment, utilizing a 2-family house to get someone in who pretty much didn't think they can get in before.
Right.
Using that, because now you have a client now with that 2-family house at the basement that he was renting out or living in, but now that's 3 units that could all be rented right there,
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really attractive.
Yeah. That's the one thing too. Like, you can always come at it from 2 standpoints. Like, can I live here and then help my mortgage be paid, and have my mortgage help? If I can I live here and have my mortgage pretty much get someone supplemented, or can I just rent this whole thing out, cash flow it, and then start investing into other things? So there's always that option, and I think it's just great to be able to work with people that have that mindset, and it's just like go more above and beyond, kind of just like, oh, I want the house for myself. And that's also part of our jobs as, realtors, to educate them and give them the possibility of, hey, look, you can find this property, you can rent it out, you can even get approved for more based on the rental income from the, for the loan. So it's really a big thing on our end to really just educate a lot of these buyers.
It doesn't matter if it's a multi-million-dollar property in the Hamptons or a multi-million-dollar property in Brooklyn or a $500,000 house in Farmingdale or Amityville, wherever. People should still be looking at it as an investment or how they can get rental income out of it if, they're able to make it a 2-family property, or, if they have the opportunity to, rent a room. Like, I know there's like certain circumstances where you can do things like that. So it doesn't really matter the value of a property. You still should be looking at it as
Opportunity.
okay, an opportunity of how you can help pay your mortgage, or just, if you don't have a mortgage, how you can make income. So,
And especially like out east, I know the investors have a different mindset. Can you kind of like go into that? Like, when someone is going to buy a house out east, they're not going to live in full time. Mainly, do they want to just do a seasonal rental for the whole year? I mean, what do you really see more of
yeah, so,
from an investor standpoint?
yeah, I mean, I think general investors want to rent for as long a duration as they can and for as much as they can. And in the Hamptons, the primary income that you're going to earn is in the summer season. So just kind of a general rule of thumb is, if you just using round numbers, so if you sell a property for $10 million, then you would look at that and say, okay, 5% of the purchase price, so $500,000, that would be your goal for rental income on a $10 million property. And 2/3 of that would come from the summer season. So, and then half of that would come from August. So 2/3 of that's going to come from 3 months, and then the other third is going to come from the other 9 months of the year. So that's where the bulk of the income is going to come from, is the summer. And you can find tenants for off season. It's not all that common, especially now. It was in 2020 and 2021. The pandemic was really at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to give someone insight into the Hamptons, I would say that the bulk of your income is going to come from the summer, and you can get some rental income from the off season, but you're really going to want to focus in on the summer season for the bulk of that.
And I'm sure in the summer too, there's people, that's where they want to be, especially being around here. So
Right.
that's a great way to look at it too. Also, I was to say, like, what do you think really the main difference between where you are and where he is with your average client?
I would say the difference really is, well, there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. Similarities being that they're smart for investing in real estate, and just the fact that a lot of these people, they want a place to call home, whether it's for an investment, whether it's for their family. But I think the main difference is, I would say, probably the mindset, maybe the mindset of their motivation and why they're looking to invest. Because if you're buying a $1.3 million property, like, you could easily just say, hey, why don't we go look into a $1.3 million property in West Ferry or, Huntington or one of these nice areas. But they specifically know that their motive is to collect rental. Like I had a guy literally tell me he was looking at properties by kind of like near a hospital, I think, by like North Shore, Queens.
Right.
And the dude was like, so I want a house where I could rent every room out for the people that work in the hospital. And I was like, okay, don't tell me that. Don't tell the lender that. But sure. So, there's different mindsets. Like literally, that's like someone actually told me like, hey, we saw like a 2-family, had like 6 bedrooms. He was like, all right, I could get like 900 a year, 1,000 a year. He's like, this one's bigger, I could get 12 a year. So his mindset was just really like, how much could I get like fully for the property, just for like a cash flow aspect. So I think just the mindset is the difference is like more of like their motivation.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, why they
Really good way to look
choose.
at it.
But then you got people too that want to buy like a single family, 2-family, and like St. Albans or Astoria, things like that, and they actually want to live in the property. Or condo buyers. Like I'm working with a lot of people that are looking for condos.
Right.
So we're looking in like Queens and Bayside, those kind of areas, Whitestone. So those people they want somewhere to live where they don't have to be paying rent. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is like not having to pay rent, not having to spend your money, 100% interest, no type of profit, no type of equity, throwing your money literally in the garbage. So I think it's just really smart that no matter where we are, like whether we're on the east side or on my side, like the whole point is that we're helping people actually better their situation long term.
Right. And I guess like I was saying with the renters becoming buyers, I mean, it's the same deal anywhere. Because like you said, if you're renting, it's just, you're not building towards anything. And eventually your lease is going to expire. You're going to need to re-up it. So same thing with the Hamptons. These people coming out summer after summer and they're saying, okay, why am I spending $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 every year when I could buy something and enjoy it for the amount of time I want to, which might be a month or 2 months, and then rent it out for the other month or 2 months. So, yeah.
It's another good way to look at it. And what would you tell to someone who's on the fence between renting and buying? I know you just made your point on that, but as far as buying a single family home, let's just say in Suffolk County, right? On the board of Nassau, Suffolk County, they're like, all right, my budget is $3,500 a month. They could potentially qualify for a mortgage of $3,500 a month, but the rent they're looking at this property is $3,500 a month. What would you tell that person to flip them? We should look into buying a property now.
So the thing is, I never really want to pressure someone into doing something they don't think is right. I feel like our job as real estate professionals is to just provide the information, and then just based upon the information we provide, allow them to absorb the information and hopefully make the right decision. And usually what I tell people is, look, I'm not here to tell you to buy a property or not, but if you just look at the pros and cons of each side, like the pros of purchasing is definitely outweighs the pros of renting, because there are like minor pros, I guess, to renting. I mean, like it's safe and you're not obligated to the house. But if you really think about it, it really depends on your situation. If you're just coming here and live for like 2 years and your plan is to move back to like the UK or something, then sure, I mean, yeah, rent for 2 years. But if you have a family, if you want to make passive income, if you want to build equity, if you want to start real estate investing, all these things definitely starts with that first property. And it's just more of like understanding that the first property is probably not going to be the stellar property you've always dreamed of, but it's a start. And, I don't think if you look at any wealthy person that's ever existed that has a big portfolio, has millions and billions of dollars, they all have real estate.
Right.
It's a no-brainer to get in as early as you can, and don't even think about the numbers. Don't even think about how much you're spending. Just understand that long term you're going to be good.
It might be for emotional reasons they hold it close, but I guess just kind of what you were saying about not pressuring anyone or just really catering to what they need is so important, because of course for us, we want to do as many deals as we can. And for me specifically with the rentals and sales, the rentals are a great way for me to get my foot in the door with landlords and owners. And it's just so important to really listen to what they need, because it's not about what we need, it's about what they need. And if you're trying to get if I'm trying to get a landlord to sell and they're only focused on renting and I'm continuing to push the sales conversation, then that's not gonna
The one I do
it's not
well,
gonna,
right?
yeah, it's not gonna go over well. But if I really listen to what their needs are and if they want to rent, and then they say, you know what, like in a year or 2 years, I want to revisit this conversation about selling. It's really about just staying in tune to what they need, because like obviously someone's going to do what they want to do. They're not just going to buy something just because you tell them to buy something, or if you give them all the pros about selling, they might, or buying, they still might want to rent. So it's really important to stick with what they want, and that's how you build trust and you build a relationship, because then they'll say that Javier or Jake or Anthony, they have my best interest in mind, not just they're just trying to close a deal or get a paycheck. So
Absolutely, and that's what I tell everyone too. It's like, we're giving you the information. You can do what you want with it. I obviously want the best for you, and I tell everyone I would never want to put you in a situation to where you don't feel comfortable, or you can't afford the mortgage, or you're stretching it, because at the end of the day, that's not helping anybody. You put them in a bad situation, and it's not working out for anyone. And there's something else I want to touch on too: the new NAR settlement. I want to get your take on it from both of you, because obviously you guys work buyers and sellers. So, what's your take on it, and what are you going to do to I guess adapt to this new rule?
Yeah, the NAR, gotta love them. So I think what's really going on, and I don't really want to speak briefly on it, but obviously the rules have changed. The rules of the game have changed, and I don't know if somebody sent me the other day a post of, since the whole settlement, or probably, I don't know if it was the settlement or maybe just this year, there's been like thousands and thousands of agents that have left the business.
Right.
Like they're dropping like flies.
Wow.
And I think it's because of this change. And my perspective on it is, things happen in life that are thrown at us always. There's always events that we cannot, avoid, but it's really our duty to just adapt and overcome these scenarios. And what I actually think it's a good thing. I don't know if I'll get hate for this, but I think the whole settlement is actually beneficial to sellers. And here's why: because when you put a house on the market, if we're offering $500,000 on the property, and the way it was is you scroll down and you'd see the property's offering 2%. What that does is you're actually taking the 2% off the price. So the actual price is, I don't know, my math is trash, but whatever, it's less than $500,000
Right.
that you're actually valuing the property. I think this actually benefits sellers, because now the fact that we don't have to disclose any commission, that's up now the commission's up for grabs. So if someone comes up to me and asks me, hey, how much are you guys giving away? What's the percentage you guys are compensating? I don't like to tell them, even though I have a number that I agreed on with the seller. I don't say like, oh yeah, we're giving 2%, because that's giving away the value of the property. Now I'm saying that the property is worth 2% less. So all I say is, hey, just listen, the seller's open to listening to all offers. Submit your best offer and we'll review it and get back to you. So
That's a good way to look at it.
Right.
That's a good way to look
Yeah.
at it. I like that a lot. How about what do you think about it?
Yeah, no, I think that definitely makes sense. So in the Hamptons, or I'm not sure if it's just in general, but I know in the Hamptons, like almost like 90% of all deals are co-broke. So meaning the listing agent, nine times out of 10, there's another agent who brings the buyer. So I think for the seller to offer a commission, it really is a positive, because some buyers, they might have made a decision where they don't want to see any properties that the seller's not offering commission. So automatically, before they even see a property, it might be the best fit for them, checks every box, but if the seller's not offering buyer agent commission, they might not even want to look at it. So I think for a seller to offer commission, it's just you're putting your best foot forward. But like you said, just for any buyers, just make your offer. Like I said earlier, just get your foot in the door, just start the conversation. So
Yeah.
if you're a buyer, you can build the commission into your offer. So if it's a $500,000 house, you can say, okay, we're gonna offer $500,000, and it's gonna include a 2% or 2.5% commission. So I think there's a lot of different ways around it. I don't think it's just one solution to it. And like you said, whenever there's change, like with this or COVID or 2008, market crash, like there's always events that agents are gonna drop out or have second thoughts about being in the industry. And it just creates opportunity for people who are going to stick through it and adapt, because like you said, there's so many things in real estate or in life that you have no control over or no say over, but you just got to roll with the punches, and you can count and be upset that things are changing and things are going to be harder, but you just got to like read up on it, stay in the know, and just learn and strategize how you can, make this work to your benefit.
Maybe I'm sure your whole pitch or business plan changed because of this, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to look at things differently and figure out how you're going to get this done and what is it going to take,
Of course. I also think it's a good thing, not just because of all that stuff I mentioned earlier, but because of the fact that, like we mentioned before, providing tangible, value to the
Yeah.
people we're following up with. So
Right.
when I heard this news, I was like, I'm following up with all my clients and
Yeah.
all my prospects, and I'm telling them, hey, did you hear about the new NAR? Hey, did you hear about the new NAR?
Right.
And it's crazy because a lot of them didn't even know what it was. They thought that this whole new settlement meant that they didn't have to give commission out. So I've had guys tell me like, oh, so yeah, I read about that on the news. So we don't have to pay commission anymore. I'm like, no, that's not what's going on. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to pay commission if you never want to sell your house. So it's really just about, I think it's just a great thing because now we're able to call people and, even people we talk to on the street, we have more knowledge than they do
Right.
if they're not in the business of, real estate, and we're able to just give them that value, be someone who sounds like an expert because we are experts because
Right.
we're studying this stuff. And it's just, this makes us a lot better in regards to getting referrals, creating more opportunities. And I think when things happen like this, it's always great. Even if rates go up, I think it's a good thing because, yeah, it's a little hard for buyers and stuff to get their properties bought or sellers to sell. But I think it's also good to talk to people like, hey, I just want to let you know rates are up and this and that. And I just think that the more information we get, whether it's good or bad, it benefits us because we're now like the projectors of that information.
Yeah. And so every week, Corcoran, we have a weekly sales meeting in our office, just an East End sales meeting. And one of the meetings we had a few weeks ago of the, 200 or 300 listings that we had, only less than a handful where the seller was not offering buyer commission. So I don't think a whole lot's going to change. I mean, obviously, as new listings get brought on, it was August 17th that it went into effect. So obviously, as time goes on, we're going to see more and more listings. But at least if you're a buyer in this general time frame, it's not like a whole lot's going to change where, if you're worried about paying a commission as a buyer out of your pocket, there's still plenty of listings, majority of listings, I would say, that are still offered buyer agent commission.
Right, I think that's really going to be the biggest downside on this is if buyers have to pay their own commission to the agent, which you guys deserve. I'll just put that out now. But the thing is, with a lot of first-time home buyers and people in this area, their deals are very tight. They're really stretching all their money here, and to ask them to come up with another 10 or 15,000, I think is going to be a little difficult. I mean, I think we can use seller concessions and stuff like that to help take care of this, and I think it's going to be good because a lot of people will be open to negotiation, which is good. But listen, I'm sure you guys aren't going to kill a deal for a couple $1,000s if it's not in your client's best interest, But I think that's going to be the biggest hurt for the buyer side. But I see both ends of it, and I think, me personally, I think the listing agent should be giving out something just to at least leave the door open, and everything's negotiable too, as you guys know. So I'm sure that will help too. But I guess we'll have to see. We're about a month in, and I guess we'll see. And then as far as signing up buyer broker agreements, is that a tough conversation to have with people, or how do you go about doing that?
Oh man, yeah, they're a little tough because a lot of these people, they're, especially on a buyer side, buyers, they're kind of like the chick in high school that just kind of flirts with everybody, because they'll literally they'll work with you, and of course you can have loyal ones, but if they see an opportunity to go to an open house and the agent's like, hey, you want to put the offer with me, I could get you a sweet deal on this, or if somehow a friend they know is hey, I have these off market properties, they'll go for it, honestly. So it's a little tough now because a lot of these buyers, they know that they're like this. They don't want to commit to just working with you. Whereas a seller, they know hey, it's me and you. You're selling my house. Go do your job. But the buyers, it's more of I'm really finding a house no matter who could help me. So it's a little difficult. I've had a few signed, and I've really just kind of made it a condition now. If we're going to see this property, you have to sign this agreement. And a lot of them, I usually try to go for a 6-month contract agreement, I would say, because you never want to say contract. But I'll usually say, hey, look, let's get ourselves into a 6-month agreement where we're going to work together. And usually they kind of shut that down. So I'll just say all right, we're going to go show these 3 properties. Let's do it for a week. Let's agreement for a week. And they're a little more lenient towards that. But what have you been saying?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes back to the relationship that you have with the buyers, because I think if you're just meeting someone for the first time, you know, they inquire about one of your listings, or just however you come across them and you say, hey, I've known you for a day and I need you to sign this agreement, they're going to be a little taken back.
Right, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, totally.
Understand.
Yeah, because if I was in their shoes too, I would definitely have questions about it.
Yeah.
But for us, or at least in my brokerage, I don't know how it is on a brokerage by brokerage standpoint, but we have a ton of different agreements that are property specific, that are exclusive agreements, they're open agreements. If you just want to see one property with me, and then you have a friend who's an agent, you could see a property with them. So it's just really about, again, with anything real estate related, just really listening to what their needs are and really making them feel comfortable with the decision that they're making. And just in general, building the relationship. You want to show the buyer your value, your knowledge, your expertise on the area, and all those things are going to go a long way for them to trust you with one of the biggest, you know, financial decisions of their lives.
Absolutely, that's the way to look at it. That's definitely the way to look at it.
It's funny because my first year in the business, I was with a company and I was part of a team.
Right.
And this team leader, he was very like keen on just having us sign these exclusive agreements. Like he would always say, because when I first started, I worked a lot with buyers, and he was like, make sure you get these exclusive signed. So I remember one of my first time ever showing properties with a buyer. The first time I met him, I literally shoved the whole exclusive agreement in his face. I'm like, sign this paper. He's like, no. I'm like, okay. And then the next time I tried it again, I was like, literally like just pressuring him. You know, it's those first couple like experiences of real estate where you're just horrible and so cringy to think back to. And I just remember thinking like, I'm never doing this. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, it wasn't required back then.
Right.
So it's just funny, you know, now realizing like, oh my God, I should have just like, you know, because there's been times where I've like shown properties and I never got anything signed. I would just go show them a house, and
Right.
you know, a lot of times it shot me in the foot because, you know, people would lie and be working with other agents. They never really had money, things like that. I didn't even ask for like proof of funds back then. I used to just,
Right.
someone said they wanted to see a house, I'd drive wherever it was they wanted to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But now I think it's a little bit better for us because it kind of protects our time. I mean, you know,
Right.
if someone's serious enough to sign that and it's for like 2 months, like
Right.
at least you know for 2 months, like you have that person, they have their best interest in mind. You could send them to open houses, you know,
Right.
have other agents talk to them, because at the end of the day, if another agent goes shows them a house and they want to put the offer, you're getting a cut. Even if they put it with the other agent, like you just have that agreement. So,
Right.
yeah, that's
And I was going to say, so along with the buyer agreement, we also have all our disclosures, and one of the disclosures that we have is just who you're representing in the deal. It's the same form, you just check one box. If you're representing the seller, you check the other box if you're representing the buyer. So when you present this agreement to your buyer, you're saying, listen, in a worst case scenario, if the seller's not offering any commission, you're going to have to pay me commission, but at the end of the day, it's going to benefit you because I'm working in your interest. I'm your buyer's
Negotiating
agent.
on your behalf.
So if you go directly to the seller and with the thinking of, okay, I'm not going to have to pay 2.5% commission, then you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, because the seller's agent's job is to get the seller, the homeowner, the best price for their home. So you might think, oh, as the buyer going directly, I'm going to save 2 or 2.5%, but in reality, you don't know what those conversations behind the scenes are. But when you're working with me, when you have to sign an agreement, I'm going to do whatever I can to get you the lowest and best price for the property. And in the process, there might be a couple $1,000 difference, or I might save you a couple $1,000. So, but it's really saying that I'm advocating for you and your best interest.
That's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
as a buyer, that's what I would want, you know?
Right.
I mean, someone who's on my
100%.
side. That's why it's important being a part of a team with lenders, attorneys, title people. Just make sure the deal goes smooth. And same thing, when you refer someone to me or whoever, we are working together and making sure we have the best interest, because
Right.
now we're a part of each other, you know? You send a client over to me, all right, Anthony has to do a good job because this is Javier or Jake's client.
Yeah.
You got to get this done, and vice versa. You know, I send someone to you, I can trust you guys and know you'll do the best for them.
of course.
Is there anything else you guys want to go over?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, I guess I wanted to say like, what's been a biggest driving factor for three of us, I guess. to really, despite all the changes that's going on, despite everything, election year, all this stuff, like what's keeping us going, like what's been keeping you going, like what's keeping you going, and I don't know if you guys want to
I think
talk about that.
just the potential that's out there. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and even now it is a challenging time, and I still really think there's a really good chance to build your career. And while people are getting out and we're staying in, we already have that upper hand, and I think that's going to help in the long run, because people who are folding over new rules, I mean, maybe this wasn't for them the whole time,
Yeah.
And now that makes it easier for you guys. There's less competition out there, and same with me. Lenders get out of this all the time, and there's a real good opportunity to build your brand and build your business, and taking advantage of this time I think is very important. That's why I'm still around.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I would say, so the Hamptons was totally foreign to me when I first started out there. My family would do like weekend trips out there, or like take a day trip out there, but for me to get from home to my office, which was basically like 55 miles, just I plugged in the GPS, I would go 55 miles east, and then I'd make like one right turn and one left turn, I'd be at my office. But like the first 2 months, I would plug into my GPS every single day because I didn't want to get lost, even though it was the most direct route. But I guess I would say at this point, it's just being a young person in the industry, and also being in a very competitive market like the Hamptons, where you're dealing with these really high price points and agents who have been around longer than, or doing business longer than I've been alive. I guess for me, it's just, trying to the goals I have, just trying to exceed those goals. Like I'm 26 years old and I've sold multi-million dollar properties in the Hamptons, and that's something that, I pat myself on the back a little bit, but I also know that I have greater bigger deals to come, more clients to help. So that's what I would say. That's what drives me.
My drive is really just having my parents work so hard their whole lives, my dad being literally the backbone of the family, and just seeing what a real man is, like seeing an example of an actual man, and like just really doing my best to emulate that and more, because I know my dad came to this country from Guatemala, and for him, he had a dream to come here and make a life for himself and give his family more, and he did the best he can. And I know that a lot of things that our parents want for us is for us to surpass them, especially when they come to this country and we're born here and they're not. It's like, all right, I have my kid, and like I want to be better than me, and my dad always tells me like, work hard, like don't give a fuck, like just literally just put your head down and work. So that's what I'm doing, and my big plan is like to retire them, and not just that, but also retire myself eventually, and then just invest in real estate and keep going. I mean, I'm 25 years old, so I'm a year younger, but I'm just proud to be in this business, man. Like I know it's one of those things where you really have to just work hard, and like you have to get over all the negative thoughts and all the negative people, negative things that are just going to come at you. And my thing is just like keep going, don't stop, no matter how hard it gets, how tough it gets. Like there's always something worse I could be doing, and I'm just grateful to be here, honestly. And I'm in it for the long run, man. Like real estate is not in this business to make money. Like I'm actually in it because I love serving people. I love being able to put someone in a better position, and I just love real estate, bro. Like I love just being in properties. I love seeing the shitholes, like fucking torn down houses, but I also love seeing the $5 million properties. So it's really just it's a roller coaster, man, but I'm glad to be on it.
Absolutely. And we'll end on this. For the end of the year, and just about 3 months left, what's like one goal that you have, or one thing you want to get done for the end of the year?
For the end of the year, man, I've had like maybe 3 listings already, so I want to pick up at least like maybe double that. So my thing is just keep hustling and end the year strong than I did last year. My first year I only did like 1 transaction, made like $4,000. So imagine making $4,000 for the year, like bro,
Right.
It's fucking crazy. So
Wow.
second year I did a little more, did like 7 transactions, and then this year I've been able to lock up 6 deals in just a month. So
amazing.
My thing is now like I got to double that. I want to at least hit like 15 deals for the year. So the pressure's on.
Yeah.
It was 3 more months, so like I'm literally on the phone like 9 hours a day now.
Got about 100 more days of the
Yeah,
year.
I know.
So
Yeah.
definitely make it happen. How about you, Jake?
Yeah, I would say with my new listing, definitely get that one in contract and sold before the new year. And also just same thing that how I got this listing from my previous listing is just really leverage this listing into getting new buyers, new sellers in the area. So that's definitely one goal. I mean, my goal for the year was to eclipse $10 million in closed listings, and right now I'm about halfway there
Nice.
for the year, including like my rentals and all that.
Mhm.
So, you know, praying, working towards getting towards that goal. You know, we still have 3 months left, 3 months left. So definitely hoping to get there. But you know, and I guess really just like you said, just really focusing on, because obviously it's selfishly I want to get to that $10 million goal, which it's not selfish because it's a good thing to get to that goal, but really just kind of like taking a step back and saying, okay, you know, I want to get to this goal, but how am I going to get to this goal? Is it going to be helping people? Is it going to be listening to people, what their needs are? Or am I just going to say, you know, like, I'm just going to get a deal no matter what, or I'm going to, you know, not listen or not be, you know, caring to what people need. So I think really just like having that adjustment in mindset of being like, okay, you know, let's just really focus on what people need and how I could help them. So, you know, just being more in tune with that, I would say.
Perfect. Listen, I'm glad you guys came. I appreciate you guys coming
Yeah,
in.
man.
I hope all three of us can do a deal soon. That would be amazing. All three of us together.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
But, yeah.
We'll do it for sure.
That's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.